What if I told you that 30 seconds from now, your entire mindset could shift? That one moment, one message could break your fear, unlock your purpose, and start your transformation. Don't blink, don't scroll, because this is not just a video. This is your wake-up call. Before we dive in, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video with someone who needs a breakthrough. Trust me, they'll thank you later. Chapter 1. The voice you ignore. There's a voice inside you. You don't always notice it. It's not loud. It doesn't shout. It doesn't fight for attention like social media notifications or incoming texts. But it's there, whispering, calmly, but consistently. You were meant for more. Not in a dramatic superhero kind of way. Not like the movies, just more clarity, more peace, more purpose. More life than what you're currently settling for, and you felt it. Maybe when you were lying in bed at 2 a.m., staring at the ceiling, or when you were at work, pretending to be focused but feeling empty, or when you watched someone else take a leap and a small part of you whispered, "That could be you." That voice is not your imagination. It's not ego. It's your inner truth trying to break through the noise. But here's the problem. You've been trained to ignore it. Every time you opened up to someone about your dreams, they said, "Be realistic." Every time you tried something new and failed, you told yourself, "Maybe I'm not cut out for this." Every time you got excited about a possibility, life slapped you with a disappointment. So you started pushing the voice down, doubting it, questioning if it ever spoke to you at all. And now, you scroll your life away. Drown yourself in distractions. Fill your hours with other people's content instead of creating your own. You've been pretending that voice isn't real, but it is. It doesn't go away. It waits, not to annoy you, but to remind you that you still have time. That even though you've lost days, maybe years, your story isn't over. And the fact that you're even hearing this message right now, that's not by accident. Because deep down, you already know the truth. You're not here just to survive. You're not here just to get by. You're not here to spend your whole life watching others live while you play small. You're here for more. And that voice, it's your permission slip. It's the reminder that you don't need approval. You just need to answer the call. So let this be the beginning, not a hype moment, not a temporary jolt of motivation, but a wake-up call. Because the voice you keep ignoring may be the very thing that saves your life. And if you listen closely right now, you might just hear it again. You were meant for more. Chapter 2. Wasted years in disguise. Nobody plans to waste their life. No one wakes up in the morning and says, "Today, I want to make no progress. Today, I want to bury my dreams just a little deeper." But it happens. Not in one big moment. Not with some major mistake. No, it happens slowly, silently, in disguise. It starts with little choices. A few minutes on your phone that turns into hours. Saying yes to things that don't align with who you really are. Telling yourself, "I'll start tomorrow," but somehow, tomorrow never arrives. At first, it feels harmless. After all, you're still busy, right? Still working, still showing up, still doing what you're supposed to do. You might even be praised for it. Look how hard they work. Look how committed they are. Look how reliable. But no one sees what's happening inside. You're busy, but not fulfilled. You're productive, but not progressing. You're moving, but not toward your purpose. And every day that goes by, the gap between who you are and who you could be widens. The scary part? Wasted years don't feel wasted while you're living them. They feel comfortable, safe, justified. You convince yourself that you're being responsible, that you're waiting for the right time, that now just isn't ideal, that once the kids grow up, once the bills are paid, once you feel more confident, then you'll go for it. But there's no perfect moment. There never was. And if you're not careful, you'll reach a point where you've gotten really good at living someone else's version of your life. So good, in fact, that you forget you ever had another vision at all. You start calling it realism instead of regret. You say, "It wasn't meant to be," instead of admitting you were scared. You accept what is and stop chasing what could be. And that's how dreams die. Not with a bang, but with silence, with excuses, with years dressed up as responsibilities that quietly took your fire away. But here's the good news. You're not stuck. You're not too late. And your best years aren't behind you. They're waiting on the other side of a decision. Not a huge leap. Not a perfect plan. Just a simple choice to stop postponing your own life. Because the only thing worse than failing is realizing you never tried, that you lived on repeat for decades, busy but disconnected, present but unfulfilled. So today you've got a choice. Keep moving through the motions or disrupt the cycle. Even a small change can shift everything. But whatever you do, don't let another year go by pretending this is all there is. You know better now, and knowing is the first spark of transformation. Start where you are, begin again, and this time, make it count. Chapter 3. The lie that keeps you average. There's a lie you've been told your whole life. It doesn't come in the form of a threat. It's not shouted at you. It's spoken in whispers, slipped into conversations, disguised as wisdom. And here's what it says. You're just not that special. It tells you that success is for them, not you. That greatness belongs to the lucky ones, the chosen ones, the ones born into the right family, with the right face, in the right place. And you're just average. So, you start to live that way. You shrink your ideas to fit your circumstances. You edit yourself in conversations so you don't seem too ambitious. You suppress your hunger so you can stay digestible to people who gave up on their own dreams a long time ago. And eventually, you stop fighting. Not because you have no fight left, but because you've bought into the lie that says average is safer. Don't stand out. Don't try too hard. Don't risk failure. Just blend in. Play it safe. Be humble. Be realistic. Be practical. And that's exactly how extraordinary people end up living ordinary lives. Not because they weren't capable of more, but because they believed they weren't allowed to want more. But what if I told you the opposite is true? What if the fire you feel in your gut, that restlessness, that tension when you see someone doing what you dream of doing, isn't something to push down, it's something to listen to? You see, average isn't a fact, it's a decision to settle for what's comfortable instead of what's possible. And the moment you realize that, everything changes. You stop asking for permission. You stop waiting for motivation. You stop measuring your potential by someone else's insecurity. You start showing up differently. You start speaking with conviction. You start creating, building, moving. Not because you're fearless, but because you're finally done being small. People might call it arrogant. Let them. They don't know what it's like to spend years dimming your light just to fit in. They don't know the cost of pretending to be less, so others feel more comfortable. They don't know what it took for you to believe in yourself again, but you do, and that's all that matters. So here's the truth they never told you. You were never average. You were just surrounded by people who couldn't see your power, but now you see it. And once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. The question is, what are you going to do with it? Chapter 4. The power of one decision. Your life is not shaped by 1,000 choices. It's shaped by just a few. Decisions so powerful, so defining, they split your story in two, before and after. You may not realize it, but everything you're living right now, the stress you feel, the peace you crave, the direction you're walking in, it all traces back to one decision. Maybe it was the moment you gave up, or the day you said, "This is just how life is." Maybe it was when you settled for the job, the relationship, the identity that made you smaller. You didn't mean to shrink. You just didn't think you had another option. But you do. You always have. And today, right now, you stand at the edge of another decision. The kind that doesn't look dramatic on the surface. No fireworks, no audience. Just you, alone, deciding. Am I going to live on autopilot? Or am I going to reclaim the pen and write this story my way? Because here's what no one tells you. You are one decision away from a completely different life. One decision to stop blaming and start building. One decision to walk away from what's draining you. One decision to finally begin. Doesn't take years. It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be real. People will say, it's not that simple. And they're right. It's not easy, but it is simple. Decide. Decide to believe in yourself even if no one else does. Decide to act, even if you're scared. Decide to rise, even if you've been knocked down 1,000 times. Most people never make that decision. They let life happen to them. They react, cope, drift, but not you. Not anymore. You see, the difference between those who make it and those who don't isn't talent. It's not luck. It's not timing. It's the willingness to decide, to draw a line in the sand and say, this is where it changes. This is where I stop surviving and start living. This is where the real me shows up. It won't feel magical at first. You might not even see the results right away. But over time, days, weeks, months, the decision you made in silence becomes a legacy you live out loud. And one day, people will ask, how did you do it? And you'll remember this moment, this choice, this invisible pivot in your soul where you whispered, I'm done playing small. I decide who I become. So if you've been waiting for a sign, this is it. One decision. That's all it takes. Make it, own it, and watch your life catch fire. Chapter 5. You don't need more time. You need more courage. Every time someone says, I just need more time, what they're really saying is, I'm afraid. Afraid of failing. Afraid of being seen starting from the bottom. Afraid of trying and not being enough. So we hide behind the illusion of time. We tell ourselves we'll chase the dream next month. We'll start the business next year. We'll speak our truth after things calm down. But things never calm down, do they? The calendar keeps flipping. Life keeps rushing. And that perfect moment we're waiting for, it never arrives. Because time isn't the answer. Time doesn't fix fear. Time doesn't create boldness. Courage does. You don't need more hours in your day. You don't need to figure everything out. You need to decide that your fear is no longer your master. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's moving forward in spite of it. It's showing up trembling. It's speaking up with a shaking voice. It's launching when you feel unready. It's saying, I'm scared, but I'm doing it anyway. And that's when the shift happens. When you stop waiting to feel confident and start acting with conviction. Confidence doesn't come before the leap. It comes after. It's earned in the doing, in the messy, imperfect, awkward steps, in the nights where you cry but keep going, in the mornings where you rise without applause, without guarantees, just grit. You want to change your life? Stop postponing it. Start now, right where you are, with what you have, with how little you know, with how much you fear. Start anyway, because courage compounds. Each act of boldness makes the next one easier. And eventually, the same things that used to terrify you become your new normal. But you'll never reach that version of you if you keep putting your future in the hands of someday. Someday is not a day of the week. It's a trap, and it's stolen too many dreams already. So here's your wake-up call. You're not waiting on time. Time is waiting on you. It's waiting for you to say, I don't care if I look foolish. I care if I stay stuck. It's waiting for you to stop rehearsing your potential and start living it. Yes, you will be afraid. Yes, you might fail. But staying in the same place forever, that's the real risk. So don't wait for the fear to leave. Walk into it. Speak through it. Build in the middle of it. And when you do, you'll look back and realize it was never about having more time. It was always about finding the courage to use what you already had. If you've made it this far, then something inside you is shifting already. So don't keep this breakthrough to yourself. Smash that like button, share this video, and subscribe to this channel for more life-changing content like this. Chapter 6. Your excuses are lying to you. There's a voice in your head. You know the one. It sounds like reason. It pretends to protect you, but it's killing every dream you've ever had. It says, you're too tired. You're not ready. You don't have the money, the time, the experience, the support. It says, now's not the right time. What if it doesn't work? What will people think? And you listen to it because it sounds like you. But here's the truth. That voice isn't your protector. It's your prison guard. Doesn't care about your future. It only cares about your comfort. And here's the craziest part. You don't even argue with it. You don't challenge it. You don't question where it came from. You just obey. You say, yeah, maybe I do need to wait. Maybe I'm not the type of person who can pull that off. Maybe I should just be grateful for what I have and not want more. And so, you wait. You settle. You shrink. Not because you couldn't win, but because you believed a voice that never wanted you to try. But what if that voice isn't telling the truth? What if your excuses aren't facts, just fears dressed up in logic? What if instead of saying, "I don't have time," you said, "I haven't made it a priority"? Instead of, "I don't know how," you said, "I haven't started learning yet." Instead of, "I can't," you said, "I haven't figured it out yet." Your excuses want you to forget one thing: you're powerful. They want you to ignore how many times you've survived what you thought would break you. They want you to dismiss the fight in you, the creativity in you, the resilience you've already proven. Excuses sound smart until you realize how much of your life they've stolen. Dreams delayed, stories unwritten, businesses unbuilt, impact unseen. And for what? To stay safe? To be liked? To feel in control of a life that's barely moving? You weren't made to stay stuck. You were made to evolve, to stretch, to break free. But you'll never do that as long as you let your excuses lead. So the next time that voice shows up, don't argue. Expose it. Call it what it is: fear, distraction, comfort disguised as wisdom. Then move anyway. Act anyway. Speak anyway. Let your progress be the proof that your excuses were lies. Because the moment you stop believing them, you become unstoppable. Chapter 7. The enemy isn't the world. It's your inner silence. Most people think the battle is out there. They blame the world, the system, the timing, the lack of support. But truthfully, the war isn't external. It's internal. It's happening in the quietest place you avoid: your inner silence. That moment when no one's watching, no one's applauding, no one's validating you. It's just you and your own voice. And that voice? It's either your best friend or your worst enemy. Because before the world ever doubts you, you doubt you. Before the world tells you it's impossible, you already told yourself not to try. It's not the critics who stop your momentum. It's the version of you that stays silent when it's time to speak, passive when it's time to act, hidden when it's time to shine. Why? Because deep down, you don't feel worthy. Not of success, not of freedom, not of greatness. So you keep yourself small, quiet, manageable. You call it humility. You call it realism. You even call it patience. But deep down, you know, it's fear. It's self-betrayal. It's a life half-lived, because full effort might mean full rejection. And so you wait. You silence the roar inside you. You bury your brilliance beneath politeness, doubt, and delay. But here's the truth no one told you. The world is not your enemy. The world is a mirror. It reflects what you project. It echoes what you whisper. It rewards the energy you bring to it. If you walk into life timid, life will treat you like a ghost. If you move with conviction, it can't help but respond. That's why the silence inside you must be broken, not with noise, but with truth. Speak it, even if your voice shakes, even if no one listens at first, even if your own mind tries to shut it down. Because once you learn to own your story, you become untouchable. Not because life gets easier, but because you get louder. Louder in purpose, louder in presence, louder in self-belief. So no, the enemy isn't the outside world. It's the inner voice you've muted, the dreams you've put on airplane mode, the greatness you've kept on pause. But guess what? That silence ends today. Say the thing. Start the thing. Move like you belong in every room you enter. Because the version of you who speaks with power, acts with fire, believes without apology. He's not a fantasy. He's you, without fear. So rise, roar, let the world hear what your silence has been hiding. You're not here to be quiet. You're here to be unforgettable. Chapter 8. You're closer than you think you're tired. You've been showing up. You've been grinding. You've been faithful to the process. But the results still feel far away. The numbers aren't climbing. The applause isn't coming. The breakthrough you imagined, still out of reach. And the thought creeps in, maybe this isn't meant for me. But hold on, pause that thought. Let's zoom out for a second. Because what if the delay you feel isn't denial, it's development? What if the pain you're in isn't punishment, it's preparation? See, most people give up right before the shift, right before the tipping point, right before the miracle. Why? Because breakthrough never looks like breakthrough when you're in it. It looks like long nights. It looks like being misunderstood. It looks like failing quietly when nobody's watching. But what you don't see is that every effort, every lonely decision to stay disciplined, every hidden sacrifice you made is compounding. Just because it hasn't erupted yet doesn't mean it's not working beneath the surface. The seed doesn't sprout the moment you plant it. It takes time. It takes darkness. It takes roots going deep before the tree can rise high. And that's where you are. You're not failing. You're forming. You're not stuck. You're stabilizing. And if you quit now, if you walk away when you're this close, you'll never know how legendary your story could have been. Think about it. How many people gave up one try before success? One conversation before connection? One post before it went viral? One yes away from everything changing? You're not the only one who's tired, but you are one of the few still standing. And that already sets you apart, because persistence is rare. And those who keep going when it doesn't make sense, they become the ones people call overnight successes later. But there is no overnight. There's only over and not giving up. You don't need a miracle. You need to keep moving, keep believing, keep showing up like it's already working, because it is. You're closer than you think, closer to the breakthrough, closer to the moment where everything aligns, closer to the version of you that'll look back at this and say, I almost gave up, but I'm so glad I didn't. So don't let this chapter be the end. Don't let exhaustion steal your destiny. Take a breath, wipe the doubt, and keep climbing. Because greatness doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers. Just one more step. Chapter 9. Your future is begging you to fight. Close your eyes for a moment. Not to rest, but to see the version of you that's waiting on the other side of this season. Stronger, wiser, unshakable. Now open them and realize this. That future version of you, they don't exist without a fight. Not a fight with the world, but a fight with yourself, with your laziness, with your excuses, with your comfort. Because comfort is seductive. It tells you you're okay where you are. It tells you tomorrow is promised. It whispers that change can wait. But your future isn't fooled by comfort. Your future knows you were built for more. It's begging you to stand up, to stop playing small, to stop waiting for permission, to stop looking around to see who's clapping for you before you even start clapping for yourself. Because while you procrastinate, your calling is passing you by. While you hesitate, opportunities are knocking on doors you're too afraid to open. And every day you delay, you make life harder for the future you who needs you to be brave today. Listen, you don't get the life you want by wishing for it. You get it by fighting for it. Fighting against your patterns. Fighting against the voices in your head that say you're not enough. Fighting against a world that's built to distract you from your mission. And you know what's wild? You were designed for this. You have everything in you right now to become someone that younger you would cry happy tears to meet. Someone your future kids will admire. Someone who didn't fold under pressure, but formed under it. But here's the real challenge. Are you willing to sacrifice who you are for who you could become? That version of you isn't coming by accident. It's coming by discipline, by choice, by refusing to go one more day living on autopilot. You need to interrupt your pattern. You need to break the loop. You need to remind your future that you're not going down quietly, because average isn't your destiny. Mediocre isn't your legacy. And if you don't fight for the life you want, you'll end up settling for the one you hate. So get up, not because it's easy, but because it matters. Show up, even when no one sees, even when no one claps, even when the results aren't visible yet. Because every rep, every step, every decision is casting a vote for the future you that refuses to be forgotten. Your future is waiting, not for more talent, not for more time. It's waiting for you to fight. Chapter 10. This is your wake-up call. This is it. Not tomorrow, not next year. Right now. This moment. Right here. Right now. is the line in the sand. Because how many more wake-up calls do you need? How many mornings will you open your eyes and still live like you're asleep, still scrolling, still settling, still playing the same old mental reruns of fear, failure, and excuses? You say you're waiting on the right time, but time isn't waiting on you. The clock is ticking. And you don't get to negotiate with time. There are people with less talent than you, less opportunity than you, less time than you, doing more. Why? Because they moved. They stopped negotiating with their fear. They stopped auditioning for permission. They stopped waiting to be chosen and chose themselves. Meanwhile, you're still on the edge of your own potential, dipping your toe in when your whole soul is begging you to dive. This life, it doesn't give you what you deserve. It gives you what you're bold enough to demand. That dream, that breakthrough, that version of you that walks into rooms with purpose and walks out with impact, they are not waiting for the perfect conditions. They're waiting for your decision. And here's the truth you can't escape. Every second you delay, you reinforce a version of yourself you say you've outgrown. You're not stuck. You're just scared. And that's okay. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's moving anyway, bleeding forward, crying forward, fighting forward. Because you're not here to tiptoe through life and die safely. You're here to set something on fire, to break generational cycles, to walk in rooms and shift atmospheres. But you don't get that by being casual. You get it by being committed every single day. That's what greatness demands. And listen, this isn't hype. This isn't motivation. This is your wake-up call. You know that voice inside you, the one that whispers late at night. This can't be all there is. The one that screams in your chest when you see someone doing what you know you're called to do? That voice is truth, and the longer you ignore it, the louder the regret becomes. So here it is, raw and real. No one is coming to save you. No one is going to hand you the life you want. No one will fight for your greatness harder than you, and no one should. This is your story, your moment, your fire. So stop rehearsing mediocrity. Stop giving power to procrastination. Stop betraying your potential. Get up, lock in, go all in, because life doesn't respond to the hesitant. It responds to the decided. And today, you decide. This message wasn't random. You were meant to hear it. The clock's ticking, but you just woke up. Now it's your move. Like, share, subscribe. And don't stop here. Watch more videos on this channel that are crafted to help you rise, fight, and live fully. Your next level is one click away. Till we meet again. See you in our next video.